Kral Space. Hi, guys. I'm Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live from my closet. It is 9 p.m. Oh, it's only 8 p.m. I guess that's way better than 9. I thought it was way late. This won't be out until like 9:30 on Wednesday, but at least I got it done. I am having a lot go on inside of this brain of mine. Just now, literally just now, right before I came on here, I went on Facebook and I saw that this kid I went to high school with died. And I've talked about him on here some because he messages me or calls me on Facebook a lot. And just, I mean, and sends me creepy ass messages and has for like 10 years. And so it's really, I'm so sad. God, that's just really sad. Doesn't make the incessant tech messaging a basic stranger any less weird, by the way, but wild, right? Just getting on here. It's just so fucking weird. And I have no idea what happened. I text my college roommate and was like, yo, what happened? Did you hear? And, you always think when someone seems unstable, you're hoping it's not. But then you're hoping it's not. Well, I guess every week I'm like, we're getting right into it. You hope it's not something he did to himself, but then it's also like, it's still sad, even if it was like cancer, I don't know. And you'll have to forgive me. I'm in a very weird headspace. I have started out this year in a bizarre way. New Year's Eve, I didn't do anything. Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first episode of 2022. And I am, I've had a month. And I'm still, I'm in the like depression part of the grieving process. I don't really buy into the whole 5 stages of grief. I've lost a lot of humans in my life and I've become very familiar with how I react to, and I react differently now, since I've been in recovery and have worked on myself. So I react differently now, but this new, the depression part, the like just like whatever, nothing matters part, is a stage I go through, and I'm going through it right now. And so, Happy New Year. I did nothing on New Year's Eve. I did nothing. No, it was like I was able to leave quarantine. That was my last day of quarantine was the 30th. But it was just like, I don't know. I had a job on Saturday and then I had the Bronco game on Sunday and I had quite the adventure on Sunday. The Broncos lost. We're not very good. I had like 15 days in one day and it was fun, but I was drunk and I made a lot of friends. I'm supposed to spend February 18th at the Chili's in Inglewood with an 80-year-old Black woman to celebrate her birthday. I believe her name is Irene. We bonded and cried. Yeah, I had quite the day. I had quite the adventure on Sunday. And then Monday, I knew that I was going to have to rest because I worked a lot on Saturday. I worked a rave in LA instead of in San Bernardino where I usually do it. I gotta write a joke about that, man. It will never not be wild to me. Like if you were a person that went to a rave, if you're like around my age and you're, late 30s, 40s, or maybe even mid 30s, I have no idea. But like when we would go to raves, it was like, there wasn't a bar. There wasn't a bartender. There weren't cops. If the cops showed up, that was like a bad thing. That was like a bad sign, right? That meant that you had to like run. And there was just like DJs in an abandoned warehouse. And I know I've said this on here before, but it still blows my motherfucking mind. You would go with a big group of people. You would all do drugs. And one of you knew how to do drugs better than everyone. So one of you's job, this was certainly not me. I was always the mess shocker with the drugs. I was never a mess, but I was like, similar to what I was on Sunday, where I guess this is just who I am, on drugs, off drugs, beer, no beer. I see a big group of people and I need to make friends with them. But that's when we would go to these raves. I would be like, see you, friends. I have this abandoned warehouse full of thousands of strangers. I have to go make best friends with all of them. But like the wild thing about it is like there was no like sponsorship. There was no like EMT. Like kids just died of drugs and everyone just sort of like blindly accepted that. And now I feel like my generation or our generation was like, hey, there's like a way better way to do it. Like kids are going to do their drugs, but like maybe we ought to make it safe, you know? And this rave crowd was actually a cooler rave crowd. It's just so cooler rave crowd, cooler rave crowd. I don't mean that literally, but like they were just like in terms of like tipping and being like reasonable people because they were older. It was like an older rave crowd instead of like the 18-year-olds. It was like, you know, people that are in their 40s still raving it up, which, you know, I don't care. I don't know. I'm in this headspace now where I'm just like, dude, nothing really matters that much. I have also been watching movies for the last like 2 or 3 days. And today I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And, you know, get out of bed, get out of bed. And then I was like, girl, you lost a very important person to you. And I'm still actively not grieving that. Like every now and then something will come up. I am doing an acting out kind of thing. You know, and a lot of my dad's stuff is coming up. I've, you know, most of you know, I've dealt with that quite a bit. You know, I've processed what happened to me as a kid with my father, and yeah, sometimes it comes up, and I think it always will. You know, I'm getting to know new people, and you know, everyone wants to know where your parents are, and usually my go-to is I just say they're all dead. That usually gets everyone. But you know, if you actually want to get to know people, you gotta, you know, open up a little bit. But I'm a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, affected. That doesn't seem like the correct word to use, but I'm a little more affected by what happened to me as a child recently after the death of my Uncle Steve than I was before, when I had processed everything. And I think it's just because I'm talking to and spending a lot of time with family, around family. A lot of memories are coming up. I'm about to head back to fucking Denver. If you're listening to this and you haven't heard from me, it's just like my phone currently has 30 text messages on it and 400 emails. And I just, you know, the depression part of grief is real. And I just don't want to do anything except for, and I'm also having this hard time where a lot of my jobs have been canceled because of the new strain of COVID. And so it's like, so when lockdown first happened, March 2020, a lot of people said they had the hard time where they couldn't really tell, like night didn't matter, day didn't matter, sleep, watch movies, like just like do not like time just sort of stopped and they didn't really do anything. I knew that was going to be a problem for my depression shit. And so I actively made the choice to wake up every morning and write and shower and work out and like have a daily routine, because I knew that if I didn't do that in that lockdown, I might eat a gun, you know. Sorry, that this may be a really dry Kral Space, guys. I'm in a weird fucking headspace. But like, yeah, I mean, truly though, I thought like, you know, I'd been there before and I was like, you know, I knew that I wasn't in a good spot, but I was able to like hide it from everybody and myself in the world because the world hadn't shut down. And, you know, we were able to just like move from one thing to another. And, you know, before the lockdowns on paper, I was, you know, living my dream. And you know, I still am. It just, you know, it was like rapidly happening. So I didn't have any time to just like stop and check in with myself. And now I feel like the world is opening back up, sort of. I don't know, who fucking knows? You know what I mean? A lot of things are getting canceled, especially here in LA. Everyone I know has it or had it. And it's a very different experience, by the way, having COVID last year than having COVID this year. Like when I had it last year, I mean, I was much sicker and there wasn't a vaccine, and, you know, I was going to the hospital. Like it was obviously like physically a different experience, but now it's so like everyone has it. So like no one really cares that much that I had it. Like, it's like, oh, it sucks it happened to you again, you know, like, but whatever. But like, it was just a weird, my old college roommate just messaged me back on what happened to that guy who died. I don't think she knows either. So crazy. It's just like, you're not supposed to die at, like, if you die at this age, like something went down, you know what I mean? This is now the second crawl space in a row I've opened with some guy I went to elementary school with dying. Remember the Jehovah's Witness? It smells like pee in here. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. My smell is all over the fucking place too, guys. Like, I don't know. But so how I feel the last few days is like the way a lot of people described how they felt in the 2020 lockdowns of just like, I don't really have anything going on. There are things that, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm just kind of sad. So I'm just trying to not, I had a great day at the Bronco day. I had quite a lot of adventures. I am a colorful person. I am a firecracker of a woman when I will never change. But, and then in just the last few days, I have, I'm just grieving. That's it. I also am sort of reevaluating a lot of friendships and people in my life. And I spent a lot of time second guessing my perceptions and second guessing who I am and listen, like taking how I felt about situations as a grain of salt, and then taking what everyone else around me thought I should do or how I should feel as like gospel, right? Like I spent a lot of time just not having that unshakable sense of self that I always talk about. And now I have it. Like I have that unshakable sense of self. And I know that I'm smart. I'm not a reckless person. I'm not, I'm a good person. I'm kind. You know what I mean? Like I'm a solid human. And there's some people that are in my life that I am reevaluating how I feel about them being in my life. I don't know how much I want to say about that, because I know that, like I said, I like to process shit before I bring it to the group. I like to process shit, but it's been the last 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks or so. Really, there was some interesting reactions from people that I thought I was close to, about my uncle dying. Like really kind of shitty reactions, like very insensitive, very like, well, why are you feeling that way? Well, I'm not going to check in. Like, just like with people that I thought of myself as very close to. And I mean, just like, I've talked about this a bunch, especially recently. I'm really paying attention to how I feel once I leave someone, when I'm not hanging around someone. I really am trying to pay attention to how I feel. My cat is just laying on the bed, staring at like off into the abyss, like the way he looks at me when he's all happy and in love. And he's really making this time really perfect. And also tonight, so I'm grateful that when I'm feeling in this funk and I feel in this rut and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. A lot of the stuff that I was doing before that was making me money is getting shut down. And I've got other stuff that will also bring money in, but it's like a self-starter shit. And it's really hard to be a self-starter when you're sad. When you're just really sad. I don't know how long this is going to be today, guys. I'm not in a great place. I'm going to do my best. I want to have like fun stories and like where I'm at. I mean, I am, if you have been listening, I have been opening myself up sexually. If you're a Patreon subscriber, I talked at length at it with my new podcast that is exclusively on Patreon with comedian Jeff May. About how 2022 is going to be my sexual revolution. I think I'm going to have one bonus episode a month where I talk about it like candidly. Unfortunately, I can't really do it here because a lot of the people that are involved in that sexual revolution may or may not listen. And I wish that there was, I feel like Kral Space should be like Fight Club. Now, I wrote this down a month ago, and every time I open up my Kral Space folder, I'm like, yeah, I really need to talk about this. I think Kral Space should be like Fight Club. Like the first rule of Kral Space, you do not talk about what happens in Kral Space. So if you are one of my sexual revolution partners and you hear this, understand that this is, I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying right now, but so I think I'm going to do like a candid one on my Patreon once a month, and those will be my 2 absolute bonus episodes, because a lot has been going down. I don't know, I just think it's like a big bad world out there. So yeah, this is going to be all over the place, guys. I'm just in a weird place, but I am grateful. So what I was saying earlier, like have had a hard time, doing anything the last few days. And, I just decided to just watch movies today, but I knew I needed to get out. I needed to get out of bed because otherwise, if you've ever struggled with any sort of depression, you know that it's it's much harder to pull yourself out of it the longer you stay in it. And by pull yourself out of it, I mean I have all my like tools that I do with that shit. And so today I text messaged my best friend Whitney, who you guys friend of the show, who I talk about a lot. And we go on a lot of walks. In fact, the Instagram photo will be of the sunset we watched tonight. And we haven't gotten on a walk since he left for Arkansas mid-December because he left the night before my uncle died, and then 5 days later I got COVID. So I haven't been able to see him because I've been I was not seeing people because I'm responsible. Yeah, that's a point. Somebody sort of sent me a message about my irresponsibility for going to the Bronco game. And I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy that at all because I am a responsible person, and I am, and it just like coming at someone that way instead of just asking what their thought process was behind something that you may not necessarily disagree with is extremely disrespectful to how you feel that person operates in the world. And this is from someone who claims to respect how I operate in the world. And I have not responded to this person. I will. They say we're supposed to be having a conversation soon, but it was just a weird. I was like, are you concerned that I don't feel well? Or are you concerned that I'm not responsible? Because my quarantine, actually, according to the CDC, my quarantine ended like a week ago or like a week and a half ago. But I don't know. I understand too that a lot of times people like to get out of their own lane. They get in other people's lane because they don't want to look at their own shit. You know what I mean? Like, I know that. And so I know it's not personal. But so tonight, I did a very self-care move, and I messaged my friend Whitney and was like, I feel bad. Can we go on a walk? Because I need to get out of my apartment. And I will say it all the time. Get yourself a fucking Whitney Melton, man. Hi Whitney, I know you listen to this. But like it's just someone who will listen and give a fuck and not always offer their opinions. Like, one of my biggest rules in my life is that I don't answer questions I am not asked. So yeah, like when people, I don't know, man, it's just the space heater's off. Hold on, pause this. It's cold. It's cold. I don't know. Just stay in your own fucking lane. Or if you're concerned about how someone is behaving in the world, but you respect them, you go, hey, what is your thought process with that? I guess I don't really understand. It's just, I don't know. It was really off putting, and I'm not in a great place. So to get that from someone that I trust was just like, not a good time, man. Not a good time. So yeah, but I did go on the walk. I went to a meeting. I am going to pick up a little bit, and I'm going to clean out my litter, and I'm going to post this. I don't know why I'm acting like this is a to-do list. And then I'm going to go to sleep and wake up tomorrow and actually get out of bed and, maybe treat this time where not a lot of jobs are coming in the way I did quarantine, where I was just like, yeah, I know that you can fall off very easily if you don't. I don't know. I got that from the Hunger Games, so it's kind of embarrassing. Where he's like, it's much easier to keep yourself together than it is to put yourself back together, or some shit like that. The hot guy who ate sugar cubes, who you kind of hated, but then you ended up loving, and then when he died, you cried a lot. I don't remember his name. It was like Hannigan or some shit. Hannigan? No, that's not right. I don't fucking know. So yeah, I joined Bumble today. I joined Field last week. I will give you a little bit of a preview of the sexual revolution. I guess you guys all are there is one guy. So I talked about this on the Patreon exclusive episode with Jeff May. There is a guy in my life that has been propositioning me for like 12 years. And I'm finally, yesterday, I was like, have you ever thought about just asking me on a date? Like all this other stuff. It's like we probably would have sex. There probably would be exciting other stuff that would go down. But like this bizarre once every 2 or 3 years, like sending me weird propositions is hasn't panned out. It usually makes me roll my eyes and just not respond to you. But now that I'm in the 2022 sexual revolution, um, I'm thinking about it. So I joined Bumble today. I joined Field right before I got COVID, which is FEELD, which I was explained to by the gentleman that I told you guys about last week. I don't know if that's going to work out. I am going to keep that close to the chest. I don't know if it's going to, I mean, it's not going to work out long term. He certainly isn't going to be the future Mr. Kim Kral, but I thought it would be a fun, introduction into the 2022 sexual revolution. I don't know why I like saying that so much. I mean, just so everyone's clear, we're all safe. It's all consensual. And that is, I just like, the more and more I'm looking into like old relationships that I've had, and the more I'm like looking at the type of man I choose, the more I'm like, okay, what is the definition of insanity? Like trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And I learned that from Murder Rehab. Sorry, that's a Buffy quote. What is happening, guys? My head is all over the place. But so like I just have been looking at like the type of man I usually go after, or like, the type of situation I get myself into, or like I usually like what'll happen is I'll meet a guy and we'll get really intense really quickly. And even if that's the guy who lives in Seattle, like that, like we just get intense really quickly. And then I put all this like pressure on it. And I'm like, and then I work my way into like fitting this guy into like this box that I've created, and being like, he's got to be the one. And typically it's a guy who, lives in Seattle that isn't for sure the one. I don't know. That guy knocked on my door tomorrow. Guys, I still have that guy on my mind, and I hope it goes away one day. I hope it goes away, and then I hope he stays away once it's away. Because you know how it goes when you're getting over someone. By the time once you get over them and you're not interested anymore, it's like there's like a bat beam. Wait, what is it? The bat signal or like they have I used to say a pager in like college. It's like they have like a pager that like beeps them, and that's ages me. But they're like, hey, Kim Crawls over you. You should call her now. You should. And I feel like every time I've gotten over this guy, he gets a beep and he's like, I should call her and then promise her the world. But I would just have looked back on all of my relationships, and there's just been all this like pressure, and not just on my side, but both sides. And it's like, and I just don't have time for that right now. I'm still launching this thing that I'm doing, right? I mean, it's it's been, launching for a while and it's going well, but it's like I want to throw all my shit at it, everything I got at this career. And the more I focus on that, and the more I like work towards that, the happier I am and the more serene I am inside. But the more I go after these bozos that are just like emotionally unavailable or literally unavailable, and then I need them to fit into it, right? Like the guy I blocked a couple of months ago is no longer blocked, who I haven't seen, whatever. It's just there's so much drama. And so I just started, and with this new person I met, it just has opened my eyes to like, can I just hang out with someone that I don't see a future with either way? Maybe. I mean, who knows? Like I'm not I was going to say a magician. Those are the ones that pull out rabbits out of their hats, right? Magicians, fortune teller. I don't know, whatever. I'm not magic. I am pretty magic. But like, I'm not, and it's just like hoping. It just feels like a lot of broken promises. That sounds so jaded, and I don't mean it being jaded. I really, I do want my person moment. I do want that. I want the wild horses moment. No one except for two people are going to know what that means, but I want that. But I don't necessarily want that now with anybody I'm seeing now. Like I just want to have fun and have safe, consensual fun that has no pressure while I build my empire. I used to think I want to build my empire while I meet my guy and we, work on this together. Now I'm like, I can't. It takes too much. And maybe I'm just not capable of that right now. It's just a lot. So I've decided sexual revolution, here we come. We're going to branch out into the world. I'm going to text this guy that's been propositioning me for 12 years and I'm going to be like, yo, why don't we just be cool, soda pop, right? I think I already texted him that. And then he was like, well, yeah, that's what we'll do. And then it's just, I'm being so candid. So now this is how I'm going to get you guys to join Patreon, is because I'm going to have one episode a month that is about my sexual revolution that is going to be behind a paywall. So that way, at least I know who's going to be listening to it and I don't have to like totally, but again, on those episodes, what happens in Kral Space, the first rule of Kral Space, we do not talk about Kral Space. Yeah, so that, and you're probably all being like, yeah, tell us about the COVID. I'm fine now. Yeah, I would 1,000% recommend getting COVID with a vaccine than I would without getting a vaccine. I just don't understand. I matched with a guy on Bumble today, and one of his things on his profile was, I will not get into a vaccine debate with you. And I'm like, yeah, but which side are you on? Like, why wouldn't he just tell what side he was on? It's like, well, I don't want to get in a vaccine debate with you either, but I also don't want to start talking to you to find out you're an anti-vaxxer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like, if he was like, I'm anti-vaxxer and I don't want to get in a debate with you, I would swipe the wrong way. I'd swipe the way that says no, right? But since he's like, I don't want to get in a debate with you, he also had way too many abs and pretty nails. And everyone knows what that means. Jerk nails and too many abs. You want a guy that has a nice body, but you don't want a guy that has like an uncomfortably like nice body, because it just means that is you know how much effort one has to put into having that. And I mean, like, I don't know. I recently slept with somebody who has a very, very nice body. So I'm hoping that he doesn't hear this and think I'm talking that he's jerk nails. But like, oh my God, this is all over the place, guys. I feel like I should be like, should we just can it and call it for the day? But it's almost 9 and I'm just going to keep going. Nothing really, I mean, I've been in quarantine, I was, so I did the festival on Saturday, which was in Los Angeles, and it was done early. It was done. Okay, yeah, I guess we'll go to the Bronco game. It was done. I stand by all my actions that day. All right. I was really excited. I don't know if anybody else has this. My cousin and I were talking about this. I don't know if anybody else has this, but since we're not around as many people as we used to be, when I'm around a lot of people now, one of two Kims comes out. A really introverted Kim that's just sort of like, oh, I'm weird, I don't know how to be around people, or one that's just like way too excited to be in the world, and I shine bright like a diamond. That girl came out on Sunday. My God. So Saturday night I got home, right? I got home at like midnight and I was like, yeah, great first day of the year. I'm going to shower and I'm going to sleep. And then I'm going to get up at 8 and I'm going to write and then I'm going to go to the game. So then I showered and then it was like 1 a.m. and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to sleep now. And then like 2 a.m. and I was like, well, it's too late to take 9 pills, because if you take 9 pills at 6 hours before you have to get up, you're going to be a fucking drag tomorrow. So I was like, all right, so now I'll just like try and meditate. So I meditated and then like finally fell asleep and then woke up at 4. And then I was like, fuck. And then I finally fell asleep at like 5. So I like got no sleep at all. And it was just because I was so scared that I was going to miss the Bronco game. And so I go down to the Bronco bar in Hollywood and I meet a couple of people. Now, my new friend has, I've hit on a few of his, I made a new friend with this guy who is just a lovely person who I think might be terrified of me now. I may have, that friendship may have been over before it started. I don't know. I'll see him on Saturday and we'll gauge it. You know, when you get kind of drunk and you're a little like out, like wild, and then you hang out with someone new and you're like, oh, you either think I'm awesome or you're terrified, and we're just gonna have to be okay with that. So his hot friend came in and I was like, oh, can I hit on this friend too? And then he goes, oh no, Kim, he's pretty picky. I was like, what? That's bitchy. That's mean, right? And later he was like, no, I just meant like he's not a guy you date. Like he's not gonna be a good guy to you. That's what I'm like, then say that. all day I was like, I'm way hotter than that guy. And then I also told that guy, came in and he was like, hi, I can't remember his name, and nor could I pick him out of a lineup now if I could. He did call me mean later that day. He's like, you're so mean. I'm like, how am I mean? He's like, the first thing you said to me when I walked in, you didn't even meet me. You were just like, I'm Kim Kral and I'm way hotter than you. And then you went to the bar and I was like, I wasn't even drunk then. I was just reacting. I also am grieving. All right. I'm grieving a lot. I don't even know if this podcast is just like, this is more bees than normal. I don't even know if this is like bees. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about today. I just, yeah, I am, I'm just grieving, man. That's all it is. And I got I got so many text messages and emails, and I keep just being like, can we do it tomorrow? But I've been saying that all week long. And so the guy was just kind of like, okay, which I guess, you know what? I will admit that was probably a little too much coming out swinging. I am a lot sometimes when you meet me. Like sometimes I know I'm the friend that other friends sometimes warn their new friends about. I'm delightful. People love me, but sometimes you got to ease yourself into Kim Kral. And that was one of those days because I was really excited for that game. So then we were supposed to meet at the tailgate, like the big Bronco tailgate, right? And so we get beer, and then our Uber driver drops us off in the wrong side of the stadium. So it's me and a Bronco fan and then a Charger fan. And we just start walking towards the thing, and we're on the phone with everyone we're supposed to meet, including the guy said I was out of his league and my new friend, because they took a separate Uber. And then the game started. So we're just like handing out this beer. I shotgun a beer. They take away my mace, which I kind of knew it was a 50-50. They don't take away the mace at the airport. I think they're supposed to, but LAX is super lax. Sometimes I accidentally fly with a knife with LAX. That is such a weird thing that I hope they don't flag somewhere in the thing. It only happened like 3 times, but I would fly with the knife and then get to wherever I was going and be like, fuck, I had this knife. And then I put it in my check-in bag, right? But one time I accidentally flew out of Denver with the knife and they made me mail it to myself. So like LAX, I think, is a little bit more lax than it should be, because I've flown with my mace a billion times and I couldn't get into SoFi with it. And it's like girly, cute pink mace, which I have to remember to buy because I do walk alone at night in parking lots a lot. And I do hold that mace up like I'm a crazy person. I find no one will want to attack or rob you. I think if you have your mace out, held up, I say this probably every 3 episodes, held up, staring anyone in the eye, like I'm crazy. You don't want to fuck with me. And I don't have that right now. So we get to SoFi, I get us some beers, and then they take away my mace. Or pepper spray. I think pepper spray is the legal one. And then we go to our seats, and we're in a section with half Charger, half Bronco fans. And now I'm drunk because I've shotgunned a beer. I had a shot of Jameson. I drank another beer, and then I had a glass of wine when I got to Jameson's for some reason. I don't like morning drinks, right? Like I don't. Champagne is a fucking, for me, champagne is, it's a gamble. Hear me out. Champagne drunk is fun. Champagne tastes nice. Sometimes, though, it can go real south real quick and it's too much sugar, or your head hurts, or you get real sick the next day. So I just usually try to stay away from. And then I don't really, Bloody Marys are fine. I don't know. So I'm not really a like morning drink person, which I guess is a good brag. I don't really drink in the mornings. So I had wine. So by the time we get in the stadium, I'm kind of drunk. So we go up into the stadium or into our seats, and everybody is it's like split Bronco Chargers, like 50-50, but the Broncos are bad and we're losing, and we lost pretty bad. It was a very embarrassing game. We're terrible, right? But I'm still going to yell, which is a bummer because I'm with people who aren't really yellers. And I'm bummed that I didn't watch it with one of my girlfriends that I watched the games with. She's as loud as I am. And so I bet she was in her seats yelling like a crazy person, and no one else was yelling. I wonder if people were yelling with her, but nobody else was yelling with me. And I was doing like, there's a Bronco chant when the other team throws an incomplete pass. Someone in the group goes, and that pass from that douchebag is, and everyone goes, incomplete. And then I go, wah, 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 wah. And over the years, I've gotten more people to go, wah, wah, wah with me. I got that from years ago. I used to watch the Broncos with my 2 friends who moved away. My two husbands, they moved away to Pittsburgh. So they could buy a house and have a family, which is respectful, but I miss having fireball shots with them on Broncos Sundays. And but they used to go wah, and I got that from them. And so I was doing that, but everyone in our section was just staring at us. And then the guy I was with seemed really embarrassed and kind of annoyed. And then the other guy who didn't know me just seemed really like, what the fuck is happening? This girl's out of control. And so then I was trying, and then there was like a little boy that was sitting next to me and with his kind of hot dad who were Charger fans, and the little boy looked terrified. So I was trying to like make the little boy feel better while sort of hitting on the dad, but not hitting on the dad. Then I made a bet with the Charger kid, and then the Chargers won. So the bet was I had to stand up and yell, "I love the Chargers," while this little boy took a video of me. So now there's this weird family somewhere with video. I got that little boy stickers. I was out and about wandering around, looking at the stadium, going to the bathroom, whatever. I went on a few adventures, and I got him some stickers. I made friends with this woman. I don't remember her name. We cried a little. I had a day on Sunday. I had a day. And then we lost. And then we walked out, and the Uber to SoFi Stadium was like $40. The Uber out of SoFi Stadium was like $180. So we were like, yo, let's just like walk away from the stadium. But the further we got, that it wasn't getting any cheaper, and it was still like the traffic was wild. And so we're like, okay, well, let's just stop into this Chili's in Inglewood to have dinner, or have a drink and just eat. And Kim was like, Kim needs to eat. Kim has had a lot of alcohol today, and she should probably soak some of that shit up at Chili's. And we were the only, well, my buddy's friend and I were the only white people in all of that Chili's. And I made a lot of friends at that Chili's, a lot of friends. One guy, I don't know, dude. I told him, I was like, listen, email me, because like I might have some connections that might help you with this. But I guess there was a quarterback in the 60s that was one of the first black quarterbacks, and he was first a Rams, and then he was a Charger quarterback. And I don't know, this guy just wanted to yell at me, not at me, but he just wanted to yell about it. And I was like, yeah, send me the information. And I would love to help you get that guy up on the Hall of Fame. Like, I would love to be a part of your cause. But he was not interested in my friendship. But then he pointed me over to a guy who was like, that guy knew that quarterback. You should go make friends with him. And then that is why I'm going to the Chili's in Inglewood on February 18th to celebrate a woman's 80th birthday, because the guy who knew the quarterback, that was his wife, I think. I don't know. My buddy was like, the Uber is here, as I'm hugging 15 elderly black people, just like giving them my email and my phone number. I make friends. And so we get in the Uber, and then we go back to Hollywood. And that is where someone called me mean. I'm not mean. I mean, I may have told everyone in the room that I was smarter and funnier than them. I was on one that day, guys. I'm also grieving. All right. When you're grieving, you don't. Also, they made some really bad jokes against women, which I won't rehash here, but I am tired of sitting around groups of dudes and hear them talk about, I'm tired of them, telling like rape jokes, or like women are dumb jokes, or women are inferior, like, or yeah, we're superior, we're inferior, like women are dumb and women only like makeup. A lot of women will agree with me that society and the patriarchy has told us that we should do this, and we've spent most of our lives politely giggling through that shit, and now we don't do that anymore. So I was with these dudes, and one of them it wasn't a rape joke, but he talked about rape jokes, and then they were like, yeah, rape jokes, and then they all laughed, and I just didn't, and they were like, well, and I was like, oh, I just don't think that's funny. And then they were like, well, we don't either. And I was like, well, you all are laughing and I wasn't, because that's what you do when you don't find something funny. And then they all were like, well, and then I got up and left, and then I came back. And so I had some adventures on Sunday, and that was the first time out of the house around humans that I wasn't working. Saturday was my first time with humans when I was working, and I had a gas on Sunday too, a gas kitten. But it was my first time out of the house in like 2 weeks, because I got COVID and I was isolating, because that is what you do. And it was an adventure. And then I spent the last 3 days watching movies, and I talk about giving myself a pass all the time. And I'm gonna do that again. I give myself a pass. I'm about to buy a plane ticket tomorrow. I keep putting that off to go to a funeral that I'm not looking forward to. Like it's just, I'm just not. I don't know. And I think a lot of my family has COVID now too. I think most of them have COVID. I haven't talked to a lot of them in the last week, but I think a lot of them do. And so it's just a shit show. The world's a fucking shit show. And I know a lot of the stuff that's been coming at me lately from people that I love is projection because they're going through their own thing. But it has made me just sort of my circle's getting smaller and smaller, and I'm okay with that. And I'm really coming into the whole, like I've talked about before, the unshakable sense of self. Like I don't need to apologize for disagreeing with people. I don't need to apologize for being too much or having questions. Or, I've spent a lot of my life, a lot of my adult life surrounded by people who who would question who I was. And then when I got away from those people, it turned out that it was them that something was wrong with. Nothing was wrong with me. And I think this last loss has really just made me look at that. And so I'm evaluating friendships again. And I don't know. It's just so funny how the evolution of evaluating friendships take place. It's like 10 years ago, it was like I would do this long, this big dramatic breakup. When I was in high school, this is really dramatic. I was breaking up with my best friend from high school. Um, we since have made up, but she had this boyfriend that I didn't like at all. And she was like a year younger than me or 2 years younger than me. I know I wasn't very popular in high school. My best friend was 2 years younger than me. Obviously, you already probably knew that because of the whole doll situation and the peeing the pants. I've told you a lot. None of you probably thought I had a best friend that was my age in high school. But I've never laughed harder with another person than I have with this woman. But her boyfriend was in my grade, so she was also mature for her age, by the way, but her boyfriend was in my grade, and I did not care for him at all. He was awful, and she would like lie to me so she could go hang out with him because she knew I didn't like him. And so one day, this is the evolution of getting rid of friends. So one day I so embarrassed about this. There's this Target best friend frame that I have it now currently with another picture in it, but it has like a best friend poem on it. And I got a picture of her and I at the Britney Spears concert that we waited in line like 16 hours to get front row. It was really awesome. I have a picture of us at that concert. I put it in the best friend frame. I wrapped it up in like nice wrapping paper, and then I wrote her a letter about how I had to just walk away from this friendship, that if I didn't do it now, I'd never be able to do it. I don't know. I would give up a kidney to read that letter now because it was probably so dramatic. I'm pretty positive I probably quoted Britney Spears at one point. I probably like fucking had a poem in there. And I walked away. I walked up to her in the hallway in high school, and she's like, "Hi, pumpkin," because we were best friends. And I walked up to her with a letter and a wrapped picture, and I walked away, and we didn't talk for like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months or some shit like that. She did end up breaking up with that guy, and years later was like, "Oh my God, he was such a psycho, but he had a car." And I was like, "I had a car." And she goes, "I know, but he was a senior boy." So it was like, cool. And I was like, yeah, it's fair. But like the evolution of like, and even 10 years ago, I would feel like I needed to write someone like a big, email and like being like, "These are the reasons why we're not in each other's lives now." And now it's just like, I don't know, you could probably just let things, I hate the word organically, but like just let shit just organically fall by the waistline. And it's not personal. And I also know that, people go through their own shit. And if things are meant to come back around, it'll come back around. I'm at a point in my life right now. I'm just tired of the bullshit. And I think that's where the sexual revolution is coming in. I think that might be the name of the thing. I was gonna name it the neurotic swinger. That still is pretty good. I haven't talked about it at all, and I won't. But if you want to hear about the neurotic swinger, you got to subscribe to Patreon, because I'll do a monthly sexual revolution diary where I have it behind the paywall, because I will be much more candid. much more than I am here. But I just have this fear that some of my conquests will start to listen to my podcast, and then they'll be like, wait, was that me or was that another guy? But yeah, I'm at a point right now where I'm just like, I'm tired of the bullshit. People, I mean, just so much has happened, you know, in the last year, in the last 2 years, obviously. But it's just like I've lost so many people. The world has lost so many people. We've realized just how little people care about each other. You know, it's just like so much has happened. And I don't have time for the bullshit anymore. I just don't. And maybe this is grief. I don't know. I still feel like an empty shelf. If that makes sense, it's just empty. And I know I got to start doing my shit tomorrow because I've let a little bit of responsibility fall by the wayside. And that's just because I'm sad and I'm grieving. And not responsibility like where I'll go homeless or I'm like, licking strangers when I have COVID. That needed to be said, I guess. But I'm so mad about that text, dude. But I just I don't know. I'm glad that I came on to do this today. I am in a weird place where I sort of want to just not do anything. And all day I was like, I'll record at 1. Okay, we'll record at 3. All right. And then finally Whitney was ready early and I was like, why don't you just go on a walk? Just get the fuck out of the house and go on a walk and, get it all out. And, and that's what self-care is, man. And I didn't have that before. I would have, I did not have that before. I would have felt like I wouldn't have skipped Kral Space for 2 weeks, and that would have been a mess out there. And I would have done it tonight. But when I had, you know what or I would have quit altogether when I had COVID the first time because I wasn't doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's just I have a really dear friend of mine that she and I are going through a lot, not similar stuff, but similar stuff. And we sometimes like I'll send it or she'll send it and it'll just be random. And I need to, this is my reminder to do it tomorrow, where we just say, hey, just letting you know that I love you. And, just your reminder to be nice to yourself. It's hard out there. And those are just the type of people I want in my world. And I don't want to be a person that burns it all to the ground. And I'm not that person anymore. If I was, there'd be a lot of people in my life that would not be in my life anymore. But I am a person that is evaluating how I feel after I'm with certain people. And I don't know. So I'm gonna end this a little early today, guys. I'm tired. I'm sad, and a lot like nothing and everything is going on in my brain at once. But I'm hoping that this walk and getting this out tonight will make me tired so I will not stay up all night and then sleep all day tomorrow. And I'm sharing this not because I want people to be like, oh my God, are you going to be okay? I'm absolutely going to be okay. I'm sharing this because I'm a human. And I think that I forget sometimes that I'm a human. I forget sometimes that I probably won't have it all figured out ever. And, I get in my head that I should be perfect. My buddy Whitney helped me pull up. I have 50 pounds of litter that gets delivered every month. And sometimes the delivery people are awesome and bring it to my door. And other times they leave it as far away from my door as possible. And I just don't have the strength I used to have because of my COVID shit. To lift it up. And so my buddy Whitney brought it up tonight for me, which is something I didn't have before I had COVID, number one, asking people for help. And he came into my apartment. My apartment's not spotless. And I used to not let people in here if it wasn't spotless. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. And he's like, why? This is what a house looks like. This is not, you don't have like puke on the, like I was like, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like it was just like I had some dishes in the sink and I need to clean out the litter box. But other than that, like it's just I'm sharing that I'm not okay because I think that we get caught up in hiding when we're not okay from each other because I think we, especially with social media and shit, we all want to just show the very perfect best parts of us. And sometimes you're just not okay, and that's okay. And that's the other thing that I'm not isolating, but I'm not talking to a few people right now. I'm not talking to you, but I'm just like kind of keeping them at a distance because I'm grieving. And a thing that I just don't understand, when someone is hurting, everyone feels the need to be like, well, I got to fix this now. And it's like, well, you don't. Like, you can't fix what happened. Someone that meant quite a bit to me died. He died. Not the high school guy, obviously, my uncle. I mean, rest in peace, Laren. But obviously, God, that's so sad. I hope it, I mean, no matter what happened, I just hope it was peaceful. Because fuck, that's 40 is too fucking young to die, dude. But yeah, I'll share with certain people about my uncle, and they think it's their job to fix it. And it's just like, well, there's nothing that can fix this. It's just time. It's just time. And it's going to be a while. Cause it's not just, I feel like I've lost the three people, and I think I shared this last week. It was like, my uncle was the last of the people that raised me that were alive. And it's just like, somehow him being here still meant that they were somehow still here, and now he's gone, and it just feels like losing all three of them again, or losing the other two again. And then it's just, I don't need, I'm okay, I'm not okay, but that's okay. And I've kind of like sort of just distanced myself from people that, when I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling great, they're like, well, what are we going to do to make that better? And it's like, well, there's nothing you can do unless you have some sort of, human body dead raising machine. I don't know. There's probably a better way to put that. Bringing back the dead machine. I have no idea, but that brings on a whole other. So here I am. I showed up today, and I'm going to show up again tomorrow. Just one step at a time. And I'm grateful. I am one lucky broad. Oh, this is fun too. But I am one lucky broad that I have the tools and the love for myself now, that even though it is hard, I am still being kind to myself, and I am still showing up for myself. And that is awesome. And the cool coincidence. So, Betty White in rest in peace, in People magazine, they did an interview because she's going to be turning 100 in a few weeks, and she calls herself one old lucky broad. And I got a few messages that were like, did you take that from Betty White? And I was like, well, she just said that. And I've been, I have a t-shirt from 12 years ago. Also, they're not that uncommon of words. It's not like I made up broad, right? My dad said broad. That's where I got broad from. So it's just, so a few people were like, yo, did you get that from her? And I'm like, well, no, go back on my shit for 15 years and you'll see that I've been saying it for a while. But she might, I mean, she's 99. She's probably been saying it way longer, but I didn't take it as, did we steal it from her? I took it as, shit, that's a really cool like coincidence. And also, the Betty White death, and we'll touch on that, and then I don't have a poop scoop, guys. I may just tell an old one. I just bit my tongue. I did tell my new friend from the football day, I don't think this guy's gonna want to hang out with me again. But I will say about Betty White, how awesome is it that she died at 99, and the world is like, that wasn't enough time. This broad lived 99 years, and the world was like, that was too short for that woman to be on this planet. Like, what a cool life to live, right? And just like, what a cool fucking broad, man. I mean, like, you read the stories how she had a black dude on her show in the 60s and got a lot of flack for it. And so then she just decided to have him on all the time. Her show got canceled for it, but like, just, she was like, fuck you. I'm going to do what's right. And now 99 years, it's just so fucking cool. The poop scoop. So here's your poop scoop. So please send me your poop scoop stories. I know it's the first of the year. Maybe we haven't had time to poop our pants, or we don't have any, poop stories. Just send me a poop story. KimKralSpace@gmail.com. Please send it to KimKralSpace@gmail.com. That is the best place to email me. I would love it. And also tell me why you're one lucky broad, or just say hi. I don't know if you got some words of encouragement about, I don't need words, but you know what I mean? Just like, hey, you're great. I don't know what that means, but hey, you're great. Yeah, all of you send me a message that says, hey, you're great. I will send you one back that will tell you, hey, you're great. But so my new friend, who he's been my new friend for like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months or whatever. We met at he's a Bronco fan, and he's so nice. And I think he's probably terrified of me now. And we started off the day with, I couldn't figure out what to drink. And everyone was like, well, just get a beer. And he was like, just get an Irish coffee. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. And they were like, why? And I was like, well, I don't want to shit my pants at SoFi. And he was like, whoa. And I'm like, oh, yeah, if you want to be my friend, you probably ought to know that I frequently talk about that or poop my pants. I poop my pants or I disappear for a while because I'll blow out a toilet in the most inopportune place. And he was just like, he's so attractive too. Jesus. Sexual revolution. Maybe that's the title today, guys, which will be very misleading. Maybe. I don't fucking know. I'm going to end this before it gets even weirder. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing with me during this sort of fucked up time. I will be okay, and I will be okay. I just got to do a little bit of grieving, and I got to do a little bit of one day at timing, one step at a time, one moment at a time. And while I'm doing that, I think I'm just gonna, date around and just have no more pressure. I'm just tired of because I keep being like, yo, I want to get married and maybe have a kid, and then I'm like, the time's ticking, and then I'm like, every single guy I meet has to be and sexual revolution 2022, baby. All right, that's it. All right, guys, thank you. If you want to join Patreon, I have Patreon. I got 2 bonus episodes now a month, which will be the sexual revolution, and then the other is I have a podcast with the very funny Jeff May. We have exclusively on our Patreons. We just recap our month, and it's been a podcast that people have been asking for like literally almost a decade, and so we have been. We finally did it. So now we're doing it once a month. It's on Patreon. There's also a bunch of other bonus stuff. You'll get that out. So if you'd love to join, if you'd love to support the podcast in another way, I would love that. Follow me on all the socials, KYMKRAL. If you haven't yet, please leave me a rating and a review. I would love that. I haven't gotten one of those in a while, which is sad. It's sad, guys. Just kidding. But if you have it and you want to, I would love that. Please share the podcast. I also wrote a book, Confessions of a Recovering Party Girl. I have a few signed copies left before I got to order a new batch. So get in there for that. You can get that at Kral Space or just KimKral.com, or you can get it on Amazon, Confessions of a Recovering Party Girl. And I think that is it. Thank you for listening this week, guys. This was one of those difficult to show up this week podcast. So I really appreciate you sitting through and letting me work out my shit. I love you all. Be kind. It's kind of hard out there. So be nice to each other. Be safe. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.